Right then guys, how's it going? And welcome back to a new video and something a little bit different today. I've got a podcast for you. Now, this is a podcast that me and a few lads who you might recognise some of. There's Adam P, Liam and a new lad called Andy as of today. We started this podcast up at the end of last season. We were doing it for Tyne TV. We still are doing it for Tyne TV. It's called Behind the Leazes. It's primarily a Newcastle United podcast, but we do talk about football in general and sport in general. And if you do want to watch us live, you can actually do that every Sunday night over on the Tyne YouTube channel. So I will put the link to that down below. But I'm also now hoping to bring some of the content over to this channel as well. So today we talk about the Newcastle friendly from yesterday against Norwich, and we also talk about how we think Newcastle United are going to do this season. No spoilers, but probably not great. But yeah, I'll switch off here. Me and the lads will start talking shortly. Let me know if you enjoy it. As I say, I'm hoping to bring more of this kind of stuff to the channel. And yeah, enjoy the video. Thanks for watching as always. Like, subscribe, check out the Tyne TV YouTube channel as well. As I say, we go live over there. I'm just bringing you the highlights. But yeah, thanks for watching and see you in a bit.
Good afternoon and welcome once again to the Behind the Leazes podcast. We've had a little bit of a makeover. We've got a new theme. We've got a new background and everything. It's looking very, very nice compared to last season. But yes, hello, welcome back. It is, of course, the start of the new season. We've had a nice hot summer at times. Football nearly came home, but it didn't. And now we're back, and of course, we're talking about the misery that is Newcastle United. We've got the usual suspects, plus one new arrival for this season. It's one more transfer than has been made by Newcastle United. It's Andy. Andy, if you want to introduce yourself, that would be great.
Andy, I've recently started working for Local TV as a multimedia journalist, hopefully focusing more on the sport and covering what is the mess of our football club at the minute.
And, we usually ask this from all the new arrivals. What's your favourite Newcastle memory, and what was your first Newcastle game as well?
Ooh, favourite memory? Probably recently, CC's header against Anzi when that took us through an extra. Was it near? I think we was going to go in extra time. CC scored the header last minute. Unreal. First game, I think, was 2001, I want to say. It was against Coventry 3-1 at home. Also, I don't want to say like totally, but I think it was Shola's debut as well.
Oh yeah.
So if there's anything that's going to sum up my whole term as a Newcastle fan, is that it started with Shola at Amiobi.
Well, it's a perfect introduction to the club, I think. And of course, it is great to be back. A new season is upon us. Rob, we'll come to you first. It's been, I think, an interesting pre-season. Of course, we played Norwich just yesterday, winning 3-0. I think it was the cherry on the icing on top of the cake after, like we said, quite an interesting pre-season. Did you go at the game? And if so, what did you sort of think of the way that we played? And, you know, going towards the season, do you think it's quite a good thing that we're sort of pulled the fingers out so soon?
Yeah, well, I mean, pre-season's definitely been interesting. I think when we lost against York City, and I think the first pre-season, I was thinking, well, here we go again. I made the strange decision to go down to Doncaster and watch that one, and we won. So I was thinking, there was quite a few goals in that one as well.
Yeah.
Then we went on to losing the behind closed doors against Burnley, and then obviously we played Norwich yesterday. I'm thinking, well, we won the last one I went to, so maybe I can be lucky for this game, and I was. So I'm hoping to continue that into the season, although I think it'll be a lot tougher to keep that streak going. But yeah, yesterday was all right. I think we said just before we started, I definitely wish I'd turned up at half time. I had a few of my friends drop out in the last minute, and I was sitting there thinking, why have I turned up for this? Because it was shocking first half. But it's like Newcastle, I think, all the last season, I think for a few years now, you don't know what team is going to turn up on the day, and that was basically what it was for the first and the second half. I'm thinking in the second half, how are we going to turn this round? But players like St. Max come on, and all of a sudden things just look so much better. We had no creativity in the first half. It was very poor. And, you know, Gale came on and got a few goals as well. So I think he's possibly put his name in the hat to get some more game time this season than maybe I would have put his way. So, yeah, bit of confidence before the season starts, because I'll be honest, I wasn't feeling great at half-time yesterday.
If there's any time to get a good win before the start
Yeah.
of the season, it is, of course, the last pre-season game. In front of your home fans, Adam, coming to you next. You said you went to the game yesterday. It was a very, very interesting one, I think. In Rob mentioned St. Maximin coming on. I've heard there was quite a nice little applause for him, quite a good roar for him. Said it motivated him on throughout the game. How good is it to see, of course, St. Maximin playing on the pitch for Newcastle once again after there were some rumours of him potentially leaving the club. He wasn't well as well the last couple of games.
Well, every Newcastle fan already knows that St. Maximin is a game changer. The second him, Shelby, and I think Fraser, the three subs at half time they came on. It was just a different match. We controlled the game a lot more. I thought in terms of knowledge in the first half, I think they were the better side in the first half. So the fact that we got extra subs on, we actually started to change stuff up, which is great. But the main part about yesterday, I thought, was the fans come back to the stadiums. Of course, I've been to all the games so far. I've loved going back to the stadiums. It's something I've definitely missed over lockdown. I mean, I'll be honest, my bank account's not too healthy right now, but watching Newcastle United is always a great sort of hobby of mine. So it's great to get back out there. But in terms of the performance yesterday, yeah, I'm looking forward to West Ham next Sunday now. I think we've got a good opportunity to try and get some early points for the door. But of course, there's protests and stuff going on next week. So regardless of what happens, it's going to be definitely an interesting first game.
And you mentioned the protests there. This is actually the first time I've heard about them. Can you just sort of enlighten us on what's going on next week?
Just all Newcastle and West Ham fans are just protesting outside the stadium, of course, for the two owners. They're just trying to get, just trying to get some media attention, I guess. But obviously, Newcastle and West Ham fans, God knows what's going to happen. But in my opinion, it'd just be loads of people just protesting, obviously just showing their disinterest in the owners.
Interesting, and we'll go to Andy next. You were at the game as well. There were a couple of players that you weren't entirely fond of. Do you want to name and shame them?
Usual too, Shelby and Hendrick. Honestly, I came off from half time, St. Maximin, unreal, changed the atmosphere. I mean, I think everyone went in at half time just a bit like, is this what it's going to be like all season? I mean, the worrying thing is how much St. Maximin lifted it. There's not really anyone else on the team that can do that. It was just total lack of creation. It's worrying that if Maximin picks up an injury like he did last season, what happens then? But the way Shelby and Hendrick, they're meant to be two of the oldest professionals at the club, and the immaturity they showed in the way they were just lunging into tackles a week before the season starts. I mean, after what happened to Wesley Fofana earlier, you would have thought, like, players have thought, maybe don't go in like that. But I mean, no one likes to see Shelby or Hendrick come under that. I mean, Shelby was good about 3 seasons ago under Rafa when he was playing that deep line sort of defensive midfielder where he didn't have to move much. But when it's just, you need so much more from our centre mids, and you're just not getting it with either of them too.
Rob, I'll come to you on this one. Obviously, mentioning Shelby and Hendrick it's two players who, maybe weren't amazing. Joe Willock wasn't included in the squad today between Arsenal and Tottenham. Maybe a good sign for Newcastle United fans, maybe a good sign for Leicester fans as well. Of course, there's rumours that he could be coming to us, and there's also rumours that he could be part of a swap deal between Leicester and Arsenal for James Maddison. Looking at the way that the midfielders played yesterday, how important do you think it is to get a player in like Willock to the team before the season starts?
Yeah, I think it's extremely important. I mean, if you look at our team and you actually go through it player by player, you look at Wilson, mentioned St. Max, Fraser, at the back, Fernandez, Lascelles, Dubravka and Net. We actually have some good players. Our biggest problem and what was the issue last season was as soon as someone picks up an injury, we don't have a replacement. I think Hayden in the middle is really good, but he can't do it on his own. I'll actually give Shelby a little bit of credit when he came on in the friendly at half-time, just because we had no creativity. And Shelby isn't great at a lot of things at the minute. He doesn't work as hard as we want him to. He doesn't defend the way we want him to. But he is one of the more creative players we've got, which again is worrying when you're relying on... I'm basically bigging someone up who I'm saying I'm not a big fan of, but if he wasn't there, who else is going to pull the strings in the midfield? Both the long staffs as well. If we can get them some game time, I definitely think we've got, the seeds to plant a good team. It's just we don't have enough players and not enough of that little bit of extra quality that St. Max gives, Wilson gives when he's fit. I think if Willock, we saw what he did at the end of last season. If we could get that for a full season, it would make a huge difference. Is it going to come? I really hope he does, but I can't see it at the minute, so I hope I'm wrong.
I think we are hoping that you are wrong. We will have to see, though. It would be great to see him, of course, playing in black and white once again. There was a player that you mentioned there, Rob, Matty Longstaff. I want to bring to attention his contract, because it is actually, once again, his last season under contract for Newcastle United. Would you give him another contract extension this season, depending on, if he plays, how much he plays, how well he plays?
I think I would definitely give Matty a new deal, but if I was Matty, I don't think I would stay, to be honest. Steve Bruce has, from what I can tell, led him down the garden path with nothing at the end, because he was going to go potentially to Watford, potentially abroad. Steve Bruce has convinced him to stay at his boyhood club. I'm guessing it wasn't too hard of a convincing to do. Mm-hmm. And then he hasn't played him for a full season. And will he get game time this season? I don't know. So if I was Matty, as much as I'd like to see him stay, that goal against Manchester United feels like ages ago now, and he hasn't had the time on the pitch we wanted him to have. I would definitely, again, it's up to Steve Bruce, unfortunately, but if it was me, I would definitely be getting Matty on that pitch this season to let him prove himself, because there's no point in just giving him a new contract if we don't know what you can do. Give him the time this season, and then give him another deal. But yeah, if I was Matty right now, I don't think I would sign a new one, to be honest.
Yeah, little glimmers of hope I think we saw from him last season. Of course, the season before, them 2 goals against Manchester United really did lift the spirits, but we will, of course, have to see. Adam, I'll come to you now, and I want to talk just a little bit about Rafa Benitez. He has come back to the Premier League to manage Everton, of all teams. It's very, very interesting to see him go into, a rival club. Maybe a bit of hatred from Newcastle fans as well for him doing that. Do you think, if he's still in the job, that is, when Newcastle play Everton at home, he'll get quite a good reception from the fans?
I would expect so, yeah. I mean, Rafa Benitez had a very bad budget in Newcastle, and he's still got a 10th place finish with pretty much a championship team, really. So, yeah, I think Newcastle fans will show him that level of respect because he stuck by with, 3.5 seasons or so. So, it's great to see him from Rafa, but I'll be honest, I didn't see him going to Everton. I still think that's a bad move, as he obviously had his best years as a Liverpool manager. But listen, it's his choice. He's got nothing to do with Newcastle United. I wish him all the best of luck, but I'm a bit bitter, I'll be honest. I would love to see Steve Bruce be penalised. That's just what I've got to say about that. But in terms of St James's Park, obviously, I will give him a standing ovation for the work he's done.
And there was another player as well who came back yesterday and got a nice little applause. It was Tim Krul. Of course, I've not seen the game, so I didn't really see how he played. But how nice was it seeing him back at St James's Park yesterday?
Oh, it was great. I mean, Tim Krul, obviously a legend in Newcastle. In my opinion, best goalkeeper we've had in the last 10 years. In terms of the actual video, I think I put a video on Twitter about you like my tweets, so cheers for that, Tim. But in general, though, now I love Tim Krul. I do think he's a great goalkeeper. And I still think he has it. I wouldn't take it back to Newcastle because I think we've got Doro and DeBracco, 2 very good goalkeepers. But yeah, I still think he's good enough for the Premier League, and I'll be obviously keep an eye on him this year.
Yeah, maybe you should screen record this, send it over to him. You might get another like from him, I don't know. Andy, we'll come to you for this one next. Fred Woodman played in goal for Newcastle yesterday. Of course, bit of a torrid time for goalkeepers at Newcastle. Yeah. Injuries galore. COVID-19 for Caldalo, a bit of a foot injury for Martin Dubravka as well. Yeah. Do you think this pre-season, Dan Lanley as well, the reserve goalkeeper, and Freddie Woodman have proved themselves to maybe get a run out once or twice this next season?
Woodman more than proved himself yesterday. Looked good, looked like an old pro. Obviously spent the last few seasons out on loan. It's maybe, I was quite worried we were going to do the same with Freddie Woodman that we did with Fraser Foster and just loan him out, and then he eventually goes. But I think Freddie Woodman more than earned his place there. I think he had a brilliant season with Swansea last season. So more to him. Hopefully, I think he'll play the full 90 minutes against West Ham next season. This season.
Yeah, I think the fact that, of course, he's played quite a lot of the pre-season. Of course, it's bad luck for Dubravka and for Caldalo, but I think it's good luck for Freddie Woodman that he has managed to get a fair few minutes in this pre-season. And, I wouldn't be surprised if he does play the full 90 minutes, like you said, against West Ham. Rob, we'll come to you, and then we'll move on to just looking at the season ahead. It's once again talking about transfers. There are 2 players available on a free at the minute, Solomon Rondon and Jetro Willems. Of course, 2 players who were formerly on loan at Newcastle United. Both, I think, proven themselves in the Premier League. Would you take them back?
It's tough to say. To be honest, as just a fan of both of those players, they both did really well. We spoke earlier about players who get fans off their seats, being back in the stadium again. Willems definitely did that for a left back who played as much as a left winger most of the time, and we know how well Rondon did. So if them 2 walk in again, it's like what can we get? We're hoping for Willock. We're hoping for anything at this point. And if you're going to offer us them 2 on a free or nothing, then yes, I'd take it. I think it would probably get a good ovation to be back. However, Willems has been injury prone. He's been away for a while. He's been getting the game time he wanted. I think he's pretty much publicly said he would want to come back, and I think that's as much as the fact that he's not getting the game time where he is. Rondon has been over in China. I've no doubt he's probably done himself well over there, but a bit older now. Can he come back and do it in the Prem? So but I don't think we're at the point where we can be too picky. I'm partly tempted to say let's just take a punt on them, and if they do well, then great. If they don't, maybe like a 1-year deal, pay-as-you-play contract. So if they turn up and they're useless, we can just say thanks for giving it a go and let them go. So yeah, 50-50 there.
Sort of like an Andy Carroll deal when he came back last season. I think it would be interesting to see them come back. I was a big fan of the way that Rondon played. He's like what Joe Linton really wants to be, but Joe Linton just can't really hack it, and of course was only on loan compared to 40 million, But yeah, of course it would be good to see them back. And just before we move on to the season preview, what sort of positions do you reckon we need to strengthen on before the start of the season or before the transfer window ends?
I think the fact that Gale got 2 goals yesterday is actually really promising, because I would certainly say striker attacking positions, and not because I think that Wilson won't do us the job this season, but Wilson missing 1 or 2 games, who's there to step in? I'm not going to jinx it, but if we did have an injury there isn't the backup that we need. I think Willock basically can take up 2 positions where we need help in, which is A, attacking midfield, and B, up front. He was basically playing both them roles and did them both perfectly. If Gale is going to be able to play like the way he did in the second half of the friendly against Norwich, then maybe he is a decent backup to Wilson, but I would definitely prefer to have someone else in there. And yet again, midfield, I think we've got players like St. Max, Almiron, Joe Linton, who are kind of more forward/wing. I think to actually just have like that creative guy in the middle, though. Again, as I've said, Shelvey's the best we've got, and I think people are a bit fed up with Shelvey at the minute. So I would say there. If you want me to keep going, I would say we're looking at the fullbacks as well. And I like our defence. I like Fernandez. I like Lascelles. Clark I'm okay with. Shaw on his day can be fantastic, but again, if we're going to go with 5 at the back, I would potentially say we need another centre back as well. So yeah, everywhere.
You mentioned if we wanted to have you keep going, I think you need to keep going with the amount of positions.
Yeah, I know.
I do completely agree with you, though. For me personally, I think we really need just a good quality right back. I think that's something that we've been lacking ever since the likes of Mathieu Debuchy left, Danny Simpson, them sorts of players, and then there's no one really being able to come in and fill their shoes. So we will have to see. We will go on to the season preview now, and we'll start off with, of course, the first game of the season, Sunday at 2:00, Newcastle United taking on West Ham at St James's Park. Adam, we'll start with you first. How are you feeling for this game, and what do you think needs to be done to secure the 3 points?
In terms of the game itself, I'm quite confident going into it. I don't know why. First game of the season, I always fancy Newcastle to win, even if we're playing like Man City or something stupid like that. But in terms of West Ham, of course, finished 6th last season, had a great season under David Moyes. But even then, we still did the double over them. So I don't know how things are going to go. It's really on and off for Newcastle. But what we need to do in order to win the game is just to score early on, because Newcastle are a team that once you sort of concede, their heads just drop off. And Newcastle, if the first 15, 20 minutes we'll play well for the rest of the game. Whereas if you have a bad start, we tend to come back into it. Well, I know yesterday's a bit of a contradiction, but yeah, I don't think these subs are going to come on and help win the West Ham game just due to how much better the squad is. But yeah, I'm confident. I'm not going to say the score prediction just yet because I know you're going to ask in a minute. But in terms of the game itself, though, I do think Newcastle's going to win. I'll be honest.
You've read my mind. I was going to ask for a score prediction a bit later on once we've gone around the room. Andy, we'll come to you for this next one. Adam talks about how important it is to start off quite well early on. If we do get an early goal, do you reckon we could see the game out, or do you think we'd need to score one or two more?
One or two more, definitely. I think worrying thing was at the start of the Norwich game, the defenders looked quite off the pace. I know it's a pre-season game, but I think we've got where we had brilliant cover in the centre half position. I think which like the position we had most cover in. Now it's starting to look that bit ropey because they're getting a bit older, more like older legs, and not keeping up with the pace, and especially with the players that are coming in the Premier League this season, it's somewhere we're gonna lack and gonna struggle with. So, I mean, I would love to see if we can go and smash in goals against West Ham, but they've got a good defence. They've got Declan Rice who sits well in front of them. So it's just if we can score early, and then if we can hold it out. I don't think we've got the ability to hold out games yet.
Are you feeling confident for this next game coming up, or?
If we score early, I think it'll be great. I think everyone will be up for it, obviously, with hopefully a near full house back in. But I think if we concede early, I think it's a totally different story, and I think the atmosphere will have a lot of potential to get quite bitter very quickly.
Yeah, I completely agree with you once again. We'll go on to Rob with this one. How are you feeling for this next game? Of course, it's going to be a long season. I think this time it's not going to be as silly as last season. Well, hopefully not at least. But how are you feeling for this first game?
Yeah, pretty much the same as the lads. As I say, the Norwich friendly, it was like two different teams, first half, second half. Which one are we going to get against West Ham? I'm really praying it's the second half. I used to know where it's going to go. I mean, it was the first game of last season, wasn't it, when we beat West Ham 2-1?
Yeah.
So if Jeff Henrik wants to come on and score again, and that I think he's done anything else since
and
then.
he'll be fuming.
Honestly,
if he wouldn't mind coming back again and doing that, and then going, that would be great. But no, I mean, I think I don't ever have. I think I don't have the confidence, but I have the optimism that Adam mentioned. It's the first game back, and as good as the friendly was, I think. It's not a competitive game. I think at the weekend back in the stadium again, it'll be the proper stuff. So I am very excited for it, as I say. And like Andy said, if we can get ahead in the game and the fans can get behind the team, I think it could be a really good day. If we start losing early, it could turn a bit toxic, but I'm hoping it won't.
Are we expecting a capacity crowd for this game as well, or are there still tickets left unsold?
There's still tickets.
How many do we know? Or
I don't know. I know there's quite a few left. I think a lot of people are sort of boycotting first game. I think.
Oh man.
yeah.
I wonder how much that'll have an effect on the players. Of course, they've had a season, basically a full season of playing behind closed doors. Adam, we'll come to you on this one. Do you reckon it will have an effect on them if they see the fans boycotting the game, a lot of empty seats around?
Not for the first game, I think, because it's the first game of the season. Obviously, the players have played behind closed doors for just over a year now. So I think for the first game it won't, but over time, when you go to away matches and all got full stadiums, everyone's obviously trying their best to put Newcastle off. I think when it comes to the home games, we need to do the same, because when Newcastle have a full end and we're all chanting stuff like that, it's almost impossible for teams to play. You see the top six, they're always struggling in James' part because the home fans are just hard to play against, but of course a lot of people boycott, a lot of people are sort of giving up on the team, and of course it's going to affect the players eventually, but it just depends how we play, really. If the players do play rubbish and the fans obviously aren't there, then you can't just blame the fans. Like, the players still got to do their job. But I can't imagine it taking a mental effect on the players over time if obviously the fans just give up on the team.
And just before we move on to the full season preview, Adam, a score prediction?
I said I was confident before. I'm gonna say it. I don't know if I'm delusional or not yet, but 3-0. I think we'll honestly comfortably win this game. If I'm wrong, fair enough. But I'm always optimistic for the first game. But yeah, we'll see how things go. That's probably going to bite me in the backside.
What are we saying for goal scorers as well?
I think Wilson will get one. Wilson loves playing against West Ham. His record's stupid against them now, so I think he will get one. In terms of the other ones, I don't know. It could literally be anyone. I put down Joe Linton and I don't even know. We'll see a show for him down.
I think we always try and fancy Joel in goal just because we want him to do well. Andy, a score prediction from yourself and goal scorers as well.
I'm going to say 2-2 and Maxi and Wilson for us. I think Maxi will be right up for it if there's near full. If there's 50,000, then I think everyone wants to see Maxi play and play well.
Definitely. And Rob, the score prediction from yourself.
Yeah, I'm going to take inspiration from last year. So I'm going to say it's going to be 1-1 with 10 minutes to go. And Jeff Hendrick's going to come on and bullet header in the top corner. 2-1 win.
Jeff Hendrick. If Jeff Hendrick scores the winner against West Ham, then I don't know what can we do. There's got to be a forfeit for Andy here. If Jeff Hendrick scores the winner, of course, I think the podcast will be on the same day, so it might be a bit too impromptu for it to be sorted out. But we'll sort something out for the next week. I'm not going to take inspiration from anyone. I think it is actually going to just be a 0-0 draw. It's going to be just one of them games, opening game of the season, where everyone's still just trying to get their bearings. Do you remember, post-lockdown when the Football League came back, when the Premier League came back, and, everyone was making sort of dodgy passes, there were some silly goals given away, things like that. I think it's going to be exactly like that, but just no goals. They're probably be there till midnight and not score. Moving on to the season preview, though. Rob, we'll go around the room, but I'll start with you, Rob. Where do you think we'll finish this season? Player of the season and top goal scorer as well.
I mean, where do I think we're going to finish? Just above the relegation zone, hopefully. I mean, again, I think what we do in terms of any transfers is going to make a big difference to what happens in the season. I think I've said it already, and it's injuries as well. If Wilson, St. Max, and both of them play every single game without an injury, 90 minutes all the way through, I honestly think that is like points, a big point difference between what we saw with St. Max being injured partially. Again, Fraser, I honestly think there's a good player in there. We just need him to stay fit long enough to actually get something out of him. So I definitely think we've got the potential to push to mid-table. We always like to come 13th or 12th. I can see that happening again. And if all them stay fit, maybe even a place higher. But I'm not saying top half. And in reality, if we don't make any transfers, I'm just praying to finish above the relegation zone again, unfortunately. So, yeah. Oh, and then player of the season. Again, if he stays fit, I'd go St. Max. And top goal scorer has got to be Wilson. I mean, he's on the pen, so hopefully he can get a few of them again this season.
Yeah, it would be nice to score a few penalties. They're not going to be as dodgy, I think, this season, but we'll just have to try and win them fair and square. Adam, coming to you this one next. Where do you think we'll finish? Do you reckon we'll go down? Do you reckon we'll stay up? Player of the season and then top goal scorer as well.
I don't think we'll go down, shall I say that straight away. When you look at teams like Norwich yesterday, I mean, they made new signs and they're still rubbish, I'll be honest. I can't see us going down. But at the same time, as Rob said before, we don't make any signs of where we're actually going to finish. I can't see us finishing any higher, 15th without any signings. But as of now, I'll stick with 15th. Or if a player like Joe Winnick or someone like that comes in the last week, and I'll push it forward for a 13th or 12th maybe. But I don't know. I think we'll comfortably stay up, but I don't think we'll get anywhere near mid-table. I think so far Steve has been 13th and 12th, and I think we'll go down to 15th this time.
15th, interesting. What we're saying, sorry, for player of the season in top goal scorer.
Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious. And the same maximum player of the season, Callum Wilson top goal scorer. I mean, I can't think of many other options put in there.
Yeah, I mean, we're not really sport for choice, are we? Andy, just looping around the room once again. Player of the season, top goal scorer, and then where do you think we'll finish this season?
I'm going to go rogue. I'm going to say Jacob Murphy, because I think if we're playing five at the back, I think a lot of the creativity is going to come from that right-hand side. I thought he was brilliant last night. On Norwich as well, I think it was quite harsh to maybe judge them off that game. I mean, they were missing 10 players. They only had a bench of 5, I think. Well, we made 5 changes at once. But yeah, I think Jacob Murphy coming forward from that right wing-back position is going to be crucial. I think, like Adam, probably round about the 15th position, but it's like Rob said, it does totally matter about the signings we bring in. I mean, if we don't, I think we could be in trouble. But again, without the risk of sounding too ignorant, I think there's enough squads below us to keep us up, which is sadly the case most seasons.
It's like the story of last season, wasn't it? There were just 3 teams not as good as us that allowed us to stay up, and of course we managed to finish 12th. I think maybe a bit jammy with the likes of Joe Willock coming in later on in the season, really coming into form. But I think I do have to agree with you guys. I'd love to say that we'd want to push for top half, but I just can't see it happening this season. I feel like we'd had to make some signings a lot earlier than we are. And yeah, I think 14th place would be, I think, respectable for Steve Bruce. He's doing his job, I guess. Top scorer, you've got to go for Callum Wilson, don't you? And then player of the season, I'd like to say Joe Willock if he came, but I'm going to have to go for current players. And, once again, it's got to be Alan St-Maximin if he stays fit. He will be, of course, I think, one of our best, if not the best player of the season. But yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. That is the end of Behind the Leazes. It's good to be back. Of course, it's been a very, very interesting pre-season, and it'll be interesting to see how we do throughout the season. Of course, we'll be here every Sunday to cover the games. But yeah, guys, before we go, have you got anything to say?
Fingers crossed for a good season, if that's possible.
Fingers crossed. Anything else?
Of course, enjoy the game. First game back. Fans are back at the stadiums of the Premier League. It's something to be excited for. Of course, the football's not going to be that exciting, but listen, away games, home games, I'll be going to them. I'll be obviously hoping to see a lot of you down there as well.
Of course, yeah. Andy, anything else before we go?
Just please come.
Yeah. No. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. Of course, stay safe out there, and we'll see you next Sunday for our fallout for the game on Sunday. Thanks very much, everyone. See you next week. Bye bye.